Whether it is an Indian curry, American hash browns, Japanese karaage, or French tartiflette, all of these seemingly very distinct delicacies utilize a particular food as a common ingredient. It is the potato, which we encounter and consume on a daily basis, thanks to the creation of French fries. Potatoes exist worldwide, but when did they become so prevalent and turn into everyday food sources people love regardless of age? The history of potatoes go as far back to around 7,000 years ago, in the Andes Mountains of Peru. During then, a well-known civilization known as the Incas cultivated wild potatoes, which they referred to as papas. However, since wild potatoes were toxic and unable to be eaten in raw state, the Incas learned to dunk potatoes in gravy made of clay and water, eventually breeding less toxic potatoes. In the year 1532, when the Spanish arrived in the Peruvian hilltops and invaded the Incas' territory, conquistador Francisco Pizarro noticed the Incas consuming strange, round objects. News of the new food spread rapidly, and within 3 decades, Spanish farmers in the Canary Islands were exporting potatoes to France and the Netherlands, which was then part of the Spanish Empire. In 1540, Spanish conquistador and historian Pedro de Cieza de Leon wrote about the potatoes in his Chronicles of Peru, and 25 years later, Spanish explorer and conqueror Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada took the potatoes to Spain in replacement of the gold he did not find. The Spanish thought they were a kind of a truffle and called them tartufo, and soon potatoes became a standard supply on Spanish ships because sailors who ate them did not suffer from scurvy. From then on, potatoes started spreading slowly as exotic gifts, from the Spanish court to the Pope in Rome, then to the papal ambassador in Mons, and finally to the botanist in Vienna. Potatoes were initially disliked by Europeans, as superstitious peasants believed that the potatoes were poisonous, so were often used as decorations instead of food. During the same time, however, the potatoes started spreading in a global scale due to the beginning of the Age of Discovery in early 17th century Europe, which was an age in which European sailors and ships left their homelands to discover new trading routes and gain wealth and knowledge, eventually reaching India, China, and Japan. Increased potato consumption during the 19th century reduced diseases such as scurvy and measles, contributed to higher birth rates, and led to population explosion in Europe, US, and the UK. However, potato famines struck Europe during the late 19th century. During 1845 to 1848 in Ireland, where potatoes supplied 80% of calorie intake, late blight destroyed potato crops and caused at least 1 million people to die of starvation, and over 1.5 million people left Ireland for North America or Australia. Also from 1884 to 1885, mold disease ravaged potato fields in Russia. Efforts were made from then to develop more productive and disease-resistant varieties. Regardless of the several mishaps, continual spread of potatoes occurred through the European colonialism, where colonial governors and missionaries introduced potatoes in Bengal and Egypt's Nile Delta, Atlas Mountains of Morocco, Jos Plateau in Nigeria, and immigrant farmers introduced them in Australia and South America, where they established potatoes in Argentina and Brazil. Within Asia, potatoes moved along more ancient routes, from the Caucasus to Turkey's Anatolian Plateau, Russia to western China, and from China to the Korean Peninsula. During the 20th century, potatoes emerged as a truly global food, and Soviet Union's annual potato harvest reached 100 million tons. Years following World War II, areas of arable land in Germany and the UK were dedicated to potatoes, and countries like Belarus and Poland produced more potatoes than cereals. In 1957, the McDonald brothers in the US spent millions of dollars to perfect the French fry, and the Canadian firm McCain made frozen French fries, which were then expanded to open 55 production facilities on 6 different continents, eventually supplying 1/3 of all French fried potatoes. From then on, potatoes became a truly global food source, and is continuously being consumed and loved worldwide. Now, whenever you pick up French fries at McDonald's, make sure to owe your thanks to the ancient Peruvians of the Inca Empire.